The summer heat beat down on Strasbourg, a city nestled along the banks of the Rhine River. The sun blazed relentlessly, casting long shadows over the cobblestone streets and ancient buildings. The air was thick and heavy, making every breath feel like an effort. It was July 1518, a time when the city was bustling with life. Merchants peddled their wares, children played in the streets, and the scent of freshly baked bread wafted through the air. But this summer was different. There was an undercurrent of unease, a sense that something was about to change. The air, usually thick with the scent of baking bread and river water, now carried a different tune, the rhythmic thump of feet against cobblestones. It was a sound that started faintly, almost imperceptibly, but grew louder and more insistent with each passing day. But this was no joyous celebration. The people of Strasbourg were not dancing out of happiness or revelry. Their movements were frantic, desperate, and filled with a kind of madness that was both terrifying and mesmerizing to behold. A strange and terrible affliction had gripped the city. It was as if an invisible force had taken hold of the townsfolk, compelling them to dance without rest or reason. The more they danced, the more their bodies ached, yet they could not stop. Men, women, and even children were dancing. They danced in the streets, in the markets, by the river, anywhere there was space to move. Their feet pounded the ground in a relentless rhythm, their arms flailed wildly, and their faces were masks of agony. They danced uncontrollably, their faces contorted in expressions of pain and exhaustion. Their eyes were wide with fear, their bodies drenched in sweat. Some cried out for help, but their pleas were drowned out by the incessant beat of their own feet. They danced until their bodies gave way, collapsing in a heap of sweat-soaked exhaustion. Many were left lying in the streets, too weak to move, their limbs twitching involuntarily. The city was in chaos, and no one knew how to stop it. This was no ordinary dance. It was a dance of despair, a dance of madness. The people of Strasbourg were trapped in a nightmare from which they could not wake. This was the dancing plague of 1518, an event so bizarre and inexplicable that it would be remembered for centuries to come. Historians and scholars would debate its causes, but the people who lived through it knew only its horror. The dancing plague was an outbreak of bizarre and disturbing behavior. It defied all logic and understanding. Some believed it was a curse, others thought it was a punishment from God, but no one could explain why it had happened or how to make it stop. It began with a single woman, Frau Trophäa, who stepped into the street and began to dance. Her movements were strange and erratic, but she seemed unable to stop. She danced for hours and then for days, drawing the attention of everyone around her. Her movements were erratic, her face a mask of bewilderment. She danced as if possessed, her body moving to a rhythm that only she could hear. People watched in shock and confusion, unable to comprehend what was happening. What started as a solitary jig soon turned into a collective frenzy. One by one, others joined her, their bodies moving in the same uncontrollable dance. It was as if the very air was infected, spreading the compulsion to dance to anyone who came near. Within days, dozens, then hundreds were swept up in the uncontrollable urge to dance. The streets of Strasbourg were filled with the sound of feet pounding against the cobblestones, a relentless and haunting rhythm that echoed through the city. The streets of Strasbourg, usually bustling with merchants and artisans, transformed into a stage for a macabre ballet. The city's normal life came to a halt as the dancing plague took over. Markets were deserted, shops were closed, and the once lively city was now a scene of chaos and despair.
I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. Got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough, you wanna hate this, I'm gonna show up. I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks. This and that, spitting slow, speaking fast. Got the roast, got the gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the emptiness, hilarious. You think you're worth my time, you're delirious, mysterious, because you are behind a fake exterior, inferior. You know I'll always be a bit superior. remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant, modern kingdom for the taking. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this,
Despite the challenges, life in Strasbourg continued. Artisans and craftsmen plied their trades, markets bustled with activity, and the city remained a hub of commerce and culture. As the sun set over the city, a temporary calm would settle in. But beneath the surface, the tensions and uncertainties of life in Strasbourg remained ever present, a constant reminder of the fragile balance that held the city together. Into this cauldron of social unrest and simmering anxieties, where the weight of daily struggles bore heavily on the townsfolk, stepped Frau Troffea, a woman whose life had been touched by hardship, her days filled with the relentless grind of survival in a world that offered little respite. She became an unwitting catalyst for a most peculiar epidemic, one that would baffle and terrify the people of Strasbourg for months to come. On a sweltering July day, she stepped out of her home and into the annals of history. The sun beat down mercilessly, the air thick with the promise of an oppressive heat wave. What possessed her to begin her strange and terrible dance, no one knows for sure. Was it a moment of madness, a desperate cry for help, or something more sinister? Some whispered of demonic possession, others of divine retribution. Theories abounded, each more fantastical than the last. Whatever the cause, Frau Troffea's solitary dance marked the beginning of a terrifying chapter in Strasbourg's history. Her feet moved with a relentless energy, her body contorting in unnatural ways. As Frau Troffea's dance continued, her movements growing ever more frantic, she attracted a crowd. People gathered, drawn by a mix of curiosity and dread. At first, they watched with a mixture of amusement and concern. Some laughed nervously, others whispered prayers, unsure of what they were witnessing. But as the hours turned into days and her dance showed no signs of abating, the mood shifted. Laughter turned to murmurs of fear, and concern deepened into palpable unease. A sense of unease settled over the onlookers. The relentless rhythm of her feet seemed to echo the unspoken fears of the townspeople, a haunting reminder of their own vulnerabilities. Some saw in her frenzied movements a reflection of their own anxieties, their own fears given physical form. It was as if she was dancing out the collective dread of the entire town, their own fears given physical form. The more she danced, the more they felt the weight of their own suppressed emotions. Others, caught up in the collective hysteria, began to sway and twitch in sympathy. It was as if an invisible force had taken hold, compelling them to join in the macabre dance. And so the plague spread, not through touch or breath, but through the unsettling power of suggestion. The streets of Strasbourg became a stage for a dance of despair, a haunting spectacle that would be remembered for generations. The dance grew, engulfing more and more people. Men, women, and even children found themselves unable to resist the compulsion to move. The town square, once a place of commerce and community, transformed into a scene of chaos and confusion. Healers and priests were called in, but their efforts were in vain. Remedies and prayers did little to stem the tide of the dancing plague. The more they tried to intervene, the more the dancers seemed to be driven by an unstoppable force. Exhaustion took its toll. Dancers collapsed from sheer fatigue, their bodies unable to sustain the relentless movement. Yet, even as some fell, others took their place, the dance continuing unabated. The town of Strasbourg was left in mourning, grappling with the aftermath of an inexplicable tragedy. The dancing plague of 1518 remains one of history's most mysterious and haunting events, a testament to the fragile line between order and chaos.